So in last class, you have learned about the growth, type of growth rates, right? As well as development, differentiation, de-differentiation, and redifferentiation, plasticity, clear, and the development of different type of growths, clear. So we are studying now the plant growth and development chapter from the plant physiology in your class 11 syllabus, right? So last class, two terms are left, right? These are absolute and relative growth rate, okay? So absolute and relative growth rate. What is absolute and relative growth rate? The growth rate of living system can be of two types. So again, we can classify the growth rate in living system into two types, right? How amount growth is found in case of any living system, uh, we can classify them into two types, absolute and relative. Now, in case of absolute growth rate, it is the actual growth per unit time without any consideration to initial value of parameter. That means in case of absolute growth rate, this is the actual growth, right? This is the actual growth rate where we can measure only the increased portion in not in comparing with the previous one. That means suppose this is the leaf, right? This one is the previous leaf or original leaf here, and this dot line is indicating that there are some increases here, and this increase is 5 semi square in size here, and the total is 10 centimeter square. Try to understand absolute growth. This is 5 semi square, right? Another 5 semi square is increased, then total 10 semi square length here, right? But we are taking here only the increased portion, only the increased portion. That means we are taking only this portion. This is called absolute growth rate or actual growth rate. In this figure, two leaves A and B are shown where 5 semi-square area is increased in case of both leaves. Therefore, the absolute growth rate is 5 semi-square per unit time. So here also same thing. This is the original one, right? And another 5 semi-square is increased here, and the original leaf length here 50 semi-square, 5 is increased, then total 55. But we are taking here only the 5 semi-square, only this portion, only this portion here. Clear? This is called absolute growth rate or actual growth rate. Here we are taking only the increased portion. We are not taking the previous one or the previous length. Next one is relative growth rate. Now, in case of relative growth rate, we are taking the whole. We are taking the whole portion of the leaves. In case of leaves here, we are taking the total length of the leaves as the increased portion as well as the previous original portions also. It is the growth per unit time as compared to the initial value of the parameter. So here we are taking this increased portion as well as the previous one also. Here, so in leaf A, the relative growth rate is 100%, whereas in leaf B, the relative growth rate is 10%. So try to understand here the original leaf size or leaf length is 5 semi-square, and it is increased. It is increased morely than the previous one. So we can call here the 100% growth is found. So that means we are counting the total one. This is called relative growth rate, and this growth is related to the previous sizes or lengths of any living parts. Here, so there are two terms: absolute growth rate as well as relative growth rate. That's all. Finally, we have finished the growths and the topics that are related to the growths. Here, now we'll start the plant growth regulator. The main theme in this chapter is plant growth regulator or plant hormone or phytohormone. The question will be coming from the plant hormone or phytohormone. So plant growth regulators, try to understand the term. The growth regulators, that means there are some regulators, there are some chemical compounds that are help in the process of plant growth. They are together known as plant growth regulators or plant hormones or phytohormones. Clear? So in case of hormones, already have learned about the hormones in humans, right? The hormones are chemical compounds that are mainly involved in growth process. In case of animal and plant, the same thing is found here also, right? The growth regulators are mainly involving in the process of growth. The plant growth regulator or PGR are small simple molecules of diverse chemical composition. So they are nothing, simply a chemical compounds. They are mainly involved in the process of growth in case of plant as well as in case of human. Plant growth regulators are also called plant hormones or phytohormones. Same thing. Now, in case of plant growth regulators in plants can be broadly classified into two categories. So, some plant growth regulators are involving in the promoting of growth. They are known as growth promoters, as well as some plant growth regulators are inhibiting the plant growth. They are known as plant growth inhibitors. Clear? So, there are two types of growth regulators are found in case of plants. Obviously, we can classify them on the basis of their function. Some are indicating or promoting the growth, so that's why they are known as growth promoter, and some are inhibiting the growth of the plant, so that's why they are known as growth inhibitors. So we have to read here total 5 plant growth regulators in this chapter. Clear? So they are auxin, gibberellin or gibberellic acids, cytokinin, abscisic acid or ABA, and ethylene. So there are total 5 plant growth regulators are involving in the plant growth system. Right, out of these 5 plant growth regulators, some are promoting plant growth, they are known as growth promoters, and some are inhibiting the plant growth, they are known as growth inhibitors. Clear? Now, out of these 5 plant growth regulators, auxin, gibberellin, and cytokinin. Auxin, gibberellin, and cytokinin, they are known as growth promoters. That means they are directly involved in the growth of the plant body. Right? Then abscisic acid and ABA, they are known as growth inhibitor because they are mainly involving in the inhibiting process of the plant growth system. The last one is ethylene, and in case of ethylene, sometimes ethylene is acting as a growth promoter and sometimes ethylene acting as growth inhibitor. So there are 5 total plant growth regulator. Out of them, auxin, gibberellin, and cytokinin, they are growth promoter because they are promoting the growth in case of plant system, as well as abscisic acid or APA, they are known as growth inhibitor because they are involving in the inhibiting of the plant growth system. And the ethylene is both growth promoter as well as growth inhibitor. So auxin, gibberellin, cytokinin fall in the category of growth promoter, obviously, whereas APA is considered growth inhibitor. Ethylene acts as growth promoter as a time a growth inhibitor. Clear? So in case of ethylene, on the basis of environmental conditions, they are acting as growth promoter sometimes, as well as on the basis of environmental conditions, they are acting as a growth inhibitor. Clear? So now we have to read their discovery, how these 5 type of plant growth regulators are discovered. So first one is auxin. So discovery of auxin. The discovery of each of the 5 major groups of plant growth regulators have been accidental. So these total 5 plant growth regulators were discovered accidentally. The first one is auxin. So Charles Darwin, right? Already you have learned about the Darwinism or Darwin theory of evolution in evolution chapter in class 12, right? So again, this Darwin is present here in case of auxin. Charles Darwin and his son, Francis Darwin, observed that in canary grass, unilateral light caused the tip of coleoptile to bend towards the light. So Charles Darwin and his son, Francis Darwin, first observed that suppose this is the plant coleoptile. When the plant is present in seedling condition, the plant is bending towards the light. Suppose this is sunlight, right? This is sunlight, and the plant is bending towards the light. They were first observed this process that in case of plants, from where the light is coming, they are bending their coleoptile or head towards the light. After Charles Darwin, Poisson and Jensen in 1910 decapitated oat coleoptile and a layer of agar as inserted between coleoptile tip and stem, then also the bending took place, right? So in case of Benson and Poisson and Jensen, you can say after the Darwin, the first, suppose this is the coleoptile that is present bending condition, that is present in bending condition, they cut it the tip of the plant and simply they are placed agar media or a agar. Agar already you have learned about now. Agar is produced from the algae. So this agar is placed on the surface of this decapitated coleoptile. Clear? Decapitated coleoptile. Then what happened after decapitated coleoptile and placed the agar? Also, they found that the bending process of the coleoptile. Clear? And they did this experiment on the oat plant. Clear? Or oat grass. Then after this Boyson and Jensen, final proof was provided by Wendt. So auxin was discovered by Wendt. So at very earlier time in your NEET exam, this question was asked that auxin was discovered by who? Right. So auxin was discovered by Wendt in 1928. That some material substance is involved in unilateral growth. So after this Boyson and Jensen, Wayne did another experiment that suppose this is the bending coleoptile. First, he cutted the tip of this coleoptile and simply he placed the mica plate, mica, mica plate, and this mica plate is not diffusible. That means this mica plate is the you can say plate through which no liquid transportation is not allowed. Clear? So when finally placed the mica on the decapitated coleoptile, then what happened? After placing the mica plate on the surface of this decapitated coleoptile, there is no bending of the coleoptile of the plant. Here, through which Wayne confirmed that yes, there are some chemicals that are produced at the plant body or at the base of the plant body, and they are transported at the tip, and this chemical is responsible for bending of this tip. Clear? Through which finally Wayne discovered that yes, this chemical is known as auxin. Am I clear to you? So Wayne first discovered the auxin, it became clear that substances responsible for growth is synthesized in the apex and translocated downwards where it causes the growth. So in case of auxin generally produce, you can say at the base of the plant, and they are transported throughout the whole plant body. And in case of auxin, they are produced at the base of the plant and they are transported at the tip, and where it is responsible for the growth or bending of the apical portion of the coleoptile. The substances had leached out in agar block from the coleoptile ties and migrated downward in the coleoptile where it triggered the longitudinal growth on site. So in case of this coleoptile, if it is blocked by mica plate, right, then what happens? It is involved in the production of the longitudinal portion of the plant. Clear? So that's all. This is all about the discovery of auxin. The next one is discovery of gibberellin. So Kurosawa, a Japanese plant pathologist, discovered the gibberellin in 1926. So the discovery of the plant growth regulators are also important for your exam. While he was working in rice field, Kurosawa observed that rice seedlings infected by a fungus grew much taller, and the disease was known as Bakani disease. That is also known as foolish seedling disease. So gibberellin discovery or gibberellin hormones discovery was also an accidental process. Kurosawa, this man or pathologist from Japanese, he was working on the rice field and he found that there are some rice plants that are very tall in length, in comparing with the other rice plant, right? And what happened due to tallness of this rice plant stem, this rice plant is uh, or the stem of this rice plant is breaking down, and what happened, the rices are mixed with the soil ground. Here he first observed these things, right? This disease is known as Bakani disease or foolish seedling disease, and the fungus was identified as Gibberella fujicorum. So in case of here, This disease was caused by a fungus known as Gibberella fujikuri. And finally, after this Kurosawa, Abuta and Sumoki in 1938 isolated a chemical from this fungus and name is gibberellic acid or gibberellin. Clear? So after this discovery of this fungus that are causing the Bakani disease or fully seedling disease in case of rice, Yabuta and Sumoki in 1938, they finally named that this fungus as a gibberellic acid or gibberellin. Clear? So sometimes in your NEET exam, the question will be coming from their formula, right? So all of this formula is so important for your exam. Now the discovery of cytokinin. The third important plant growth regulator is cytokinin. A cell division factor was isolated by Miller schools and their co-authors in 1955 while working on the growth of the tobacco peat culture. So in case of cytokinin, this discovery was also an accidental process. Miller schools and his co-workers were working on a lab, right, where they were research about the tobacco culture, right? And finally, they found that there are some chemicals that are involved in cell division, cytokinesis. Already you have learned about the cytokinesis now in cell division chapter, cell cycle cell division chapter, where you have learned about the cytokinesis and karyokinesis. Cytokinesis means the division of cytoplasm, from where the name is coming here, cytokinin, that is extremely related to the cell division. Clear? So later one, Miller and co-workers isolated and purified the substance in crystalline form from herring sperm DNA. So from herring sperm, herring is a fish, right? From this fish DNA, this chemical was discovered. It was later identified as 6-furfuryl aminopurine and named as kinetin due to its property to activate the cell division. So kinesis from where the kinetin is coming. So the first developed cytokinin hormone is kinetin. Clear? And the chemical name of kinetin here, 6-furfuryl aminopurine. Now the fourth most important plant growth regulators that are abscisic acid or ABA. Carnes and Adicott in 1965 isolated a substance from cotton fruits and named it abscicin 2. Here, Warren and Confort extracted a similar substance, dormine, which could induce bud dormancy. So first, in case of abscisic acid discovery, there were two scientists. They were isolated a chemical known as abscissine 2 from some cotton fruits, and after them, another two scientists, they were also extracting substances known as dormine that are involved in the inducing of the bud dormancy processes. Clear? So what is bud dormancy? Bud, you can say premature form of any axis that are involved in the growth of several branches, apical axis, apical bud, terminal bud. Already have learned about them. Later one, it was known that dormine and abscissine 2 were identical and therefore these were given a common name known as abscisic acid. So finally, these abscissine 2 that were developed from cotton fruits and here the dormine that were involved in the bud dormancy processing. These two were named as abscisic acid or ABA. Clear? And this is the chemical formula of this ABA. Now the last type of plant growth regulator is ethylene. Until 1960, the ethylene was not accepted as a growth hormone. Berg in 1962 finally confirmed that it's a plant hormone. So you can see the fruits that are getting matured from premature form. In case of banana also, right? If you see the structure, right, the fruit ripening process is extremely done by ethylene. So ethylene is a natural hormone that is involved in the ripening of fruits. Clear? And ethylene is the only one hormone that is gaseous in nature. Gaseous in nature. Clear? So ethylene is the only plant hormone that is gaseous in nature. Clear? So there are total 5 plant growth regulators, and already you have learned about their discovery. Their discovery are important for your exam. Now we have to read these 5 plant growth regulators function, clear, and their composition. These are very, very important for your NEET exam. So first one is auxin. There are two major classes of auxin, natural and synthetic. So generally what happened after discovery of this plant growth regulators, okay, nowadays also we can develop the synthetic form or artificial form of this 5 plant growth regulators. For example, in case of ethylene, right? Ethylene is a natural hormone, natural plant growth regulator that is helping in the process of fruit ripening, clear? As well as in case of nowadays, you can go to the market, go any shops, then you can buy the carbide and so many other chemicals that are composed of ethylene, through which we can, you can say, ripen several fruits. Clear? So nowadays the natural plant growth regulators as well as the artificial plant growth regulators are also available in our market. Clear? So first auxin, we can classify the auxin into two, natural and synthetic. So these examples are important for your exam. Natural auxin in the plant is mainly indole acetic acid or IAA. So in case of auxin, there are different types of auxins. More than 150 types of auxins are found nowadays in the market, right? Out of them, some are natural and maximum of them are artificial. So in case of natural auxin, they are mainly composed of indole acetic acid, and these are the synthetic auxins, the example of synthetic auxin hormone. First, indole butyric acid, then the name are important for your exam, IBA, indole propionic acid, IPA, naphthalenic acid, NAA, 2,4-D, 2,4-dichlorophenoyl acetic acid, and 2,4,5-T, 2,4,5-trichlorophenoxy acetic acid. 2,4-D and 2,4,5-T. These are extremely used nowadays in agricultural field. Clear? These are extremely used in agricultural field nowadays because they are synthetic auxin hormone or artificial auxin hormone. Clear? So indole butyric acid or IBA has recently been included in the category of natural auxin as well as synthetic auxin. So out of these synthetic and natural, you can say auxin hormone, indole butyric acid or IBA is coming under both the natural as well as synthetic auxin. Auxin are generally produced by the growing apices of the stem and roots from where they are transferred to the regions where they are active. So auxin generally produced by the growing apices. That means growing apices means already I've learned about the SAM and RAM, right? Shoot apical meristem and root apical meristem. So after formation of SAM and RAM, after formation of new, you can say, plant or seedling, the shoot apical meristem is present at the tip of the plant that is involved in the growing of shoot or stem, and root apical meristem or ram that is present on the tip portion of the root that is involved in the growth of the roots, right? So auxin generally produced at the tip portion of the apical, you can say, axis. It may be shoot or stem as well as root or radical, right? The precursor of indole acetic acid is tryptophan. So all type of auxins are developed from the tryptophan. Tryptophan is an important essential amino acid. There are 20 amino acids in our nature here, and tryptophan is one of them. Tryptophan is very, very important for us, for plant, and from this tryptophan, all type of auxins are developed. So that's why the precursor of auxin or indole acetic acid is tryptophan. That's all. Generally, in case of auxin, after production of this auxin, they're mainly involved in the bending of the tip. Already I've learned about them in discovery of the auxin, right? They're mainly involved with the bending of the tip of the plant body. Now we have to read their physiological effects or the functions of the auxin hormone. Clear? Auxin transport requires metabolic energy, and that is an active transport system. So auxin, right? Auxin is a chemical compound, right? And chemical compounds are not allowed, right, are not allowed to cross the plasma membrane. So that's why active transport is necessary for here. Already I've learned about them now in transportation system in plants, about the active transport, passive transport. In case of passive, simple diffusion, facilitated diffusion. So active transportation system is the system from where any chemical compounds can transport from lower concentration region to higher concentration region. Clear? This is called active transportation system. So auxin, suppose this is the plant body, suppose this is one cell and here this is plasma membrane. And suppose here another cell and here this is plasma membrane. So two cell in case of auxin, right? For from transportation from one cell to another cell, auxin is requiring active transportation system. Active transportation system where energy or ATP molecule is required. It is also described as a polar from apex to base and vice versa. Suppose in case of a plant, right? Here the plant apical or shoot apical meristem is present, and suppose here at the base here root apical meristem is present. Suppose auxin is produced here, and this auxin should be transported here for the growth of the apical portion of the plant. So that's why it's needed the active transport system, as well as sometimes if the auxin are produced here, then for the transportation apex to base, also the ATP molecule is required. Clear? Because auxin is polar in nature. That means auxin is a chemical compound that is containing some charge. Auxin are well known to promote elongation of the stem and polyoptile. Auxin promotes cell elongation mainly due to increased wall plasticity. So these are two important functions that in case of auxin, they promote elongation of the stem, right? As well as polyoptile. Auxin promotes cell elongation mainly due to increased wall plasticity. So when the auxins are transported through the cell wall, they are increasing the plasticity or the integrity of the cell wall, through which they are involved in the elongation process of the stem as well as polyoptile. Auxins induce cell division under certain conditions. So auxins are also involved in the cell division processes under some conditions. During injury or healing of wounds, so in case of any plants that are facing some injury, clear, for healing this portion, auxins are also needed. Activity of the cambium. So already I've learned about the cambium cell that are present throughout the whole plant body. So the maintaining of the activity of the cambium is done by auxin plant hormone during grafting to produce a graft union. So what is the meaning of grafting? Sometimes what happens in case of plant tissue culture, suppose we are taking one branch from a plant and simply we are you can say taking one branch and we are attaching this branch into another plant's you can say branch, through which we can also produce a new plant. This is called grafting. Grafting means the attachment of two branches of stems, you can say, or two branches to produce a new plant. This is called grafting process. So in case of grafting process, auxins are also spraying artificially for growing the plants quickly. Culturing of the tissues. So in case of tissue culture process in biological laboratory, right, the auxins are also needed. These are the test tube that are found or present in botany biology lab or in biotechnology biology lab. Clear, where you can find that there are some plants that are cultured within the test tube with the help of auxin hormone. Auxin cause apical dominance. This is very, very, very important for your exam. The main function of auxin, it is involved in the process of apical dominance. Now, what is the meaning of apical dominance? Suppose a plant is containing the tip of the plant, right? Suppose this is the tip of the plant. In case of auxin, this auxin is mainly involved in the apical dominance. That means It is helping in the process of increase in the length of apical portion of the plant body. This is called apical dominance, right? By inhibition of the lateral parts. That means, suppose this is the branch, this is the plant leaf, clear? This is the plant leaf, and here the terminal part, the lateral part is present, right? These are terminal part, and here suppose this is auxin is present at the apical part, right? Now, in case of auxin, how they can involve in the apical dominance process? They are present at the tip of the portion, and they are mainly involved in the growth of the apical portion always by inhibiting this lateral bud or the terminal bud. Here, this is the main function of auxin, right? It is observed that removal of apical bud promotes the growth of lateral buds or branches. So, in case of gardens where we are planting some plants, and sometimes what happens, we are just cutting the head of the plant, right? So these plants are getting bushier or getting bushy, right? How? Because at the tip of the plants, auxins are present. Now we are cutting the tip of the plants. Now these plants are getting bushier in nature. Clear? This is very helpful in gardening of several plants. So this is the main function of auxin plant hormone. Clear? Auxins cause root elongation at extremely low concentration, that is 0.0001 ppm. Right, in case of auxins, they are mainly involved in the apical dominance portion, but sometimes they are also involved in the root elongation at a very low concentration. Clear? So just see this structure once. This is the apical bud, and in case of auxins, they are mainly present at the tip of the apex or tip of the plant, and they are mainly involved in the growth of the apical portion of the plant by inhibiting the lateral bud or terminal bud. Clear? If we are removing the apical portion of the plant or head portion of the plant is getting bushier, and this is very helpful in gardening process. Clear? Next, auxins have differential effects on the growth of fruit and root. So auxins are involved in the growth, stem growth as well as root growth. When a shoot tip is exposed to unilateral light, the exposed side is called illuminated side and the opposite one is called shaded side. So obviously, suppose a tip is bending towards the light. Suppose here the light is present and the portion that is extremely exposed towards the light, this is called illuminated side. This is called illuminated side. And the another portion that is facing dark, right? That is facing the opposite portion, they will be called as shaded side. 65% auxins accumulate on the shaded side and on the illuminated side in case of stain, right? So 65% auxins accumulate on the shaded side, clear, and the remaining are on the illuminated side. So that means in case of shaded side, mainly the auxins are present. Am I clear to you? And these auxins are pressing the plant head towards the light. Clear? Towards the light. So in case of auxin, a tip of the plant is bending towards the light. Clear? And in case of this tip of the plant, the portion that is exposing towards the light, this side will be called as illuminated side, and the back side that are not exposing towards the light correctly or directly, they will be called as shaded side. So generally auxins are present on the shaded side and force the tip to bend towards the light. This is the thing that is found in case of auxin. The growth of shoot tip is opposite to more auxin side, whereas growth of root tip is towards the more auxin side. In case of shoot tip, right, shoot tip that is containing some auxin as well as root tip that is containing some auxin, and their function, their growths are different from each other. Similar uneven distribution of auxin is seen under the influence of gravity. So in case of generally shoot tip that is containing more amount of auxin and root tip that is containing less amount of auxin. So that's why the shoot tip or apical meristem or the shoot apical meristem growth is extremely found, and they are mainly involved directly as well as in case of root tip, okay, they are containing less amount of auxin, so that's why less amount of growth is found on the root tip. Clear? Application of synthetic auxin stimulate rooting at cut end of the stem. So in case of synthetic auxin, they are stimulating mainly in tissue culture lab for growing the root, mainly as well as shoot. IIA or indole acetic acid promotes femaleness or production of more female flowers in monocots and maleness in dicots. So in case of auxin, the another most important function, they are promoting female flower in case of monocot plants, as well as they are promoting male flower or maleness in case of dicot plants. Formation of seedless fruit, that is parthenocarpy. This is very, very important for your exam. So in case of auxin, this auxin is also involved in the parthenocarpic fruit production processes. Clear? Suppose what happened, banana, tomato, clear? Sometimes they are produced by the spraying of the auxin hormone. Clear? So what is the meaning of parthenocarpic fruit? Already you have learned about the parthenocarpic fruit in sexual reproduction in flowering plant. That generally what happens? Generally what happens in case of flowering plant, right? Male gamete is fused with the female gamete and they are forming zygote. From the zygote a new plant body is developed. Clear? But in case of some plants, what happens? The ovule is unfertilized in nature. That means ovule, that is containing egg, and this egg is not going to fuse with the male gamete. Clear to you? So the formation of fruit without fertilization is known as parthenocarpy. So sometimes what happens, by spraying the auxin or synthetic auxin or artificial auxin, you can say, we can produce huge amount of seedless fruits. That's all. So this is very, very important for your NEET exam. Now, deficiency of auxin in plants promotes abscission of leaves and fruits. Clear? So, auxins that are involved in several functions. So, if any amount of deficiency is found in case of plants, then what happens? They are promoting the abscission of leaves and fruits. Abscission means simply falling off of the leaves and fruits from the plant body. This is called abscission. Clear? And this abscission or falling off of leaves and fruits are found when the auxin is present in deficient amount in the plant body. Auxins increase xylem differentiation. Clear? So xylem differentiation, already have learned about the transportation system in plants. Xylem and fluid. Xylem is involved in the transportation system of water and minerals. Clear? And phloem is involved with the food translocation system. So why auxin is involved in the xylem differentiation? Why? Because auxins are chemical compounds, right? Auxins are chemical compounds. So in case of xylem, xylem are mainly containing the what? The water, mineral ions, and some chemicals. And these are the chemicals. Clear? So auxins, they are chemical in nature and they are transported through the xylem vessel. So that's why auxin is involved in the increasing process of xylem differentiation. Clear? So this is also the important function of the auxin. Another very important effect is killing of weeds, and such auxins are called weedless or herbicides. That is 2,4-D is most commonly used. This is very, very, very important for your NEET exam. So in case of auxin, 2,4-D, right? This auxin is produced synthetically or artificially. And this hormone is spraying nowadays in each and every agricultural field throughout the whole world to kill the weedicides or herbicides that are affecting our agricultural fruits. Clear? So that's why we are spraying a huge amount of 2,4-D hormones, right, to kill the herbicides or weedicides, you can say, they are mainly killing or affecting our agricultural crops. And this 2,4-D is mainly involved herbicide and weedicide, and through which we are kill weeds or herbs. Clear? That's all. A mixture of 2,4-D and 2,4,5-D known as Agent Orange was used by USA in the war to defoliate trees in Vietnam. So in case of USA or America, where when the America was involved war with Vietnam, then what happened? America mixed the 240 and 245T, and they were spraying them on the agricultural field, on the forest field in Vietnam to kill the what huge amount of plants. Clear? Or you can say defoliate. This is the condition. After spraying the 240 and 245 in Vietnam, these plants, right, are defoliate now. Clear? They were defoliated. Why? Because after spraying the huge amount of 240 and 245T, they were mainly kill the plant's chlorophyll. Clear now? Or they are mainly destroying the plant's chlorophyll. So that's why these plants were yellow in nature. Clear? Or yellow is after spraying them. This is called defoliation of the plant body. Okay. Now, after the auxin, the next most important type of plant growth regulator or plant growth hormone is gibberellins or gibberellic acids. Clear? Gibberellic acid, also known as weak acid growth regulators. About 136 gibberellins are known at present, found in the widely different organisms such as fungi and higher plants. So in case of gibberellins, they are mainly known as weak acid growth regulators, as well as more than 136 gibberellins are available in our market, and out of them maximum are produced artificially, and they are mainly found in different organisms like fungi and higher plants. So this is the formula or structural formula of the gibberellic acid. Now they are designated as GA1, GA2, GA3, and so on. So suppose 136 gibberellic acids are present in our market. So they are numbered as G1, sorry, GA1, clear, then GA2, then GA3, like this. GA3 is the commonest and was the first discovered gibberellic. So GA3 is the commonest gibberellic acid or gibberellic hormone that were discovered first. Gibberellic acids are synthesized in young leaves and also inside the plastids of immature seeds and roots. So gibberellic acids are synthesized in young leaves, clear, as well as inside the plastid of immature seed and root. So these are the you can say functional, sorry, these are the original location from where they can originate. Formed from acetyl coenzyme A by the mevalonic acid pathway. So gibberellic acids are formed from the coenzyme A and through the mevalonic acid pathway. So coenzyme A, that is involved in several functions in combination with several enzymes, right? Already you have learned about the enzymes and their functions, their reactions, and coenzyme A is associated with several enzymes, and they are mainly inducing the activity of enzymes. Clear? Now this is the mevalonic acid pathway. First acetyl CoA, that is 2 carbon in nature, from where 5 carbon intermediate or isopentenyl pyrophosphates or IPP is produced. Clear? From this IPP, 20 carbon amino 20 carbon gibberellic acids are produced. Clear? And this gibberellic acid is involved in several functions in the plant body. Clear? And this 5 carbon IPP, through which the rubber, carotenoids, sterols, as well as abscisic acid, these are also produced. So mevalonic pathway or mevalonic acid pathway is the common pathway for formation of gibberellic acid as well as abscisic acid. Clear? Now the physiological effect of the gibberellic acid or the functions of gibberellic acid, the most characteristic effect is internodal elongation, also called bolting. This is very, very important for your exam. So in case of gibberellin or gibberellic acid, the main function of gibberellic acid is to elongate or to increase the internode. So in case of a plant, right, suppose it's the plant stem, what do you mean by node and internode? These are the node, these are the node through where several branches of leaves, branches of stems are produced. These are node. Clear? These are node through which several branches of leaf or several branches of stems are produced. Clear? And these are internode. These are internode. The distance between two nodes are known as internode. So in case of gibberellin, that is mainly involved in the process of internodal elongation. Clear now? Already you have learned about the discovery of the gibberellic acid or gibberellin, where the rice plants, some rice plants in rice fields are getting very you can say increase in their lengths, uh, obviously due to this gibberellin hormone. Clear? And this gibberellin hormone is mainly involved in the increase of the internodal portion of the plant body. Clear? It promotes the germination by breaking or removing dormancy of the seed. This is the second most important function in case of gibberellic acid. That is, in case of seed dormancy or seed sleeping condition is breaking down by the gibberellic acid. In last class, you have learned about the seed dormancy. There are several mechanisms for breaking down the dormancy of the seed or for seed germination. Clear? Now, this gibberellic acid is mainly involved in the seed dormancy breaking processes. Clear? So these are two main functions of gibberellin. First one is internodal elongation. They are mainly increase the internode of any plant stem through which they can increase their length, as well as they are promoting the seed dormancy breaking processes. Clear? Some light sensitive seeds called photoblastic. Already you have learned about them. Some seeds are germinated in presence of light. They are known as photoblastic. Some seeds are not germinated in presence of light. Right? They are known as non-photoblastic, such as lettuce, barley, can germinate in complete darkness by the application of GA. So there are some plants that are germinated, right? Their seeds are germinated in presence of light. They are known as photoplastic seed. So if absence of light are there, by simply applying of these gibberellic acids, we can germinating their seeds. Clear? They are inducing formation of seedless fruit. Again, they are involved also in parthenocarpic fruit formation, but mainly in case of auxin, they are involved with the formation of parthenocarpic fruit. Increase in size of flowers and fruits. A combination of GA4, GA7 called pomalin is effective in increasing the size of the apple. So these are apple. All of you know about the apple. So in case of apple, by combination of GA4, gibberellic acid 4 and gibberellic acid 7, we can increase their size as well as they are promoting maleness. So in case of auxin, already I've learned about the function of auxin. They are mainly involved in the promoting of femaleness in case of monocot and maleness in case of dicot. But in case of gibberellic acid, they are mainly promoting the maleness of the plants. They are also promoting flowering in the day plants under short conditions, growth of the pollen tube. So in case of the gibberellic acid or gibberellin, they are also involved in the promoting of the flowering processes in daytimes. Clear? As well as they are involved in the growth of the pollen tube. Now, what do you mean by pollen tube? Already have learned about them in sexual reproduction in flowering plants. Here, pollen tube through which the male gametes are transported, two male gametes are transported, and they are taking entry within the ovule. Clear? Within the ovule, this is ovule. So this is known as pollen tube. So this pollen tube is increased in their growth by the application of gibberellic acid. So this is also the important function of the gibberellic acid. I think at earlier time the question was asked from this function. Growth of the pollen tube is done by gibberellic acid hormone. Increase in malt production in barley by GA3. Now, what is the meaning of malt production? This is very unique function that is done by gibberellic acid or gibberellin. Clear? So, malt production is done by the gibberellin. So now what is the meaning of malt? Now, in case of, suppose take an example, suppose wheat. So what happened in case of wheat? They are extracting from the plant first, and they are soaked with water, and again they are mixed with the gibberellin for making the wine or beer. Here, this is called malt. So first, we are taking some agricultural crops, for example, wheat, and we are mixed with the water. Then what happens in presence of light? We are, you can say, drying. Then we are mixed with gibberellic acid. Then we can make beer as well as wine from several agricultural crops. This is called malt. Clear? So malt is very unique. You can say function that is done by gibberellic acid or Ga3. Clear? In beet, cabbages, and many plants with rosette habit, gibberellins cause stimulation of internodal elongation. This phenomenon of internodal elongation is called bolting. Is called bolting. Clear? So another important function that is done by gibberellic acid or gibberellin is bolting. So these are the main functions that were done by gibberellic acid or gibberellin. Clear? First one internodal elongation, then malt production, bolting. Clear? As well as seed dormancy breaking. So these are the main four functions in case of gibberellins. Clear? So they are mainly increasing in some rooted plants. Clear? For example, beet, cabbages. So this process is known as bolting. Now there are some differences that are found between auxin and gibberellin. Now just see them. First, auxin. So in case of auxin, auxin has a single or double unsaturated ring structure and a side chain. Now, all the structures of the plant growth regulators are also important for your NEET exam. Sometimes the question will be coming from the diagram of suppose gibberellin as well as auxin. Here you will be getting four formula or structural formula. Then you have to find the gibberellin structural formula like this. So all the diagrams are also important for your exam. And in case of gibberellin, gibberellin has a single gibberellin ring structure. Now, the second most important difference between auxin and gibberellin, auxin promotes growth of the shoot segments, gibberellin promotes the growth of intact stem as well as stems. So auxin is mainly involved in the growth of apical portion of the plant body, but gibberellin is increasing the all over stem size or stem length. Clear? Auxin generally involved in the growth of the plants, do not in elongation process, do not involve in elongation process, and gibberellin generally involved in the elongation process. Clear? So if gibberellin is absent, then what happens? This plant will be getting shorter in length. Suppose this is the plant that is in presence of gibberellin. Clear? And suppose plus gibberellin. And suppose gibberellin is absent, then what happens? This plant will be dwarf in nature, right? So such kind of functions are not done by auxin because auxin is mainly involved in the apical dominance of the plant body. Auxin it promotes root formation, gibberellin no effect on rooting. Clear? So auxin mainly promotes in the formation of root, but gibberellin is not involved in the promoting of root function. Auxin not mobilize food reserve during seed germination. So there is no, you can say, function of auxin that is related to the seed germination processes. But in case of gibberellin, they are involved extremely in the seed germination processes, and they are mobilize the food or reserve food material and inducing the formation of hydrolytic enzymes. Sorry. Now, in case of gibberellins, what happened? When seed is germinated, right before the germination process, first the seed is taking some water from outside. Clear? This is called imbibition. Then gibberellin hormone is mobilized or breaking down the reserve food material that is present within the seed, and they are activating some hydrolytic enzymes. Clear? Hydrolytic enzymes. Now, what happened? Suppose this is seed pod, right? Just for information, suppose this is seed pod. Now this seed pod is hard in nature, right? And this hardiest seed pod is breaking down by several hydrolytic enzymes here, and these hydrolytic enzymes are getting activated by gibberellin hormone. Clear? The next important function of auxin, it causes apical dominance. In case of gibberellin, it is not causing apical dominance, but it is increasing the length, or you can say size of the internode. Auxin, it has no effect on the flowering of long day plants. So auxin is not involved in the flowering processes, but gibberellin is involved in the flowering processes of long day plants. Clear? Later we'll discuss about the long day plants, short day plants, and some other plants also. But for now, auxin is involved in the flowering process, and auxin is not involved in the flowering process, and gibberellin is involved in the flowering process. Auxin does not cause bolting, and gibberellin cause bolting. Now, what is the meaning of bolting? In some rosette plants, for example, cabbage and beets, they are mainly increasing their internodes. This process is called bolting. Clear? So that's all. This is all about auxin and gibberellin. The third most important plant growth regulator of plant hormone is cytokinin. Clear? So there are mainly total 5 plant growth regulators: auxin, gibberellin, cytokinin. These are three known as growth promoters. Clear? Now we'll discuss about the cytokinin. Term cytokinin was given by Latham. Cytokinins have specific effects on cytokinesis and were discovered as kinetic, a modified form of adenine. So cytokinin, that is mainly involved in the cell division processes. Clear? And the first cytokinin that was developed known as kinetin. So kinetin was first developed cytokinin. Kinetin does not occur naturally in plants. So obviously we can call this kinetin as a synthetic cytokinin or artificial cytokinin. This is the structure of the cytokinin plant. Here, zeatin was isolated from corn kernels and coconut milk. So after kinetin, the next important type of cytokinin plant growth hormone is zeatin, right? And this zeatin is extracting from the corn kernels. This is the maize, right? And if we are separating all the seeds, then it will be called as kernels, right? 18 cytokinins have been discovered. So far, isopentenyl adenine is the most common. So obviously, isopentenyl adenine or IPA is the most common type of cytokinin. So kinetin, zeatin, isopentenyl adenine, right? As well as some other cytokinins are also involved nowadays. Cytokinin are synthesized in meristematic tissues. So obviously, cell division cytokinesis is extremely by the cytokinin plant growth regulators. Clear? So cytokinins are synthesized in the meristematic tissues. Now, what do you mean by meristematic tissues? Already I've talked about them. Those tissues are already dividing stage, and they can undergo a lot of division to form several tissues or several specific cells. They are synthesized in root meristems and occur abundantly in young roots, young leaves, and developing fruits. So in case of cytokinin, they are mainly synthesized in root meristems, and they are also found in young roots, young leaves, and developing fruits. Why? Because within these young roots, young leaves, as well as developing fruits, these region are mainly containing the cytokinin plant hormones. Clear? And these cytokinins are involved in the process of cell division. So here a huge amount of meristematic cells are present. Clear? So that's why cytokinin are present in huge amount in these regions. Now, the physiological effect of the cytokinin or the functions of the cytokinin plant hormone, the most important action is the promotion of cell division and therefore use in tissue culture. So this is very, very important for the cytokinin. This is the most important function here in case of cytokinin, that is they are mainly involved in the cell division processes. Clear? They are also involved in some amount of cell enlargement processes, and due to cell division in nature, the cytokinin is also you can say applying in tissue culture processes. It helps in morphogenesis in plants. So what is the meaning of morphogenesis? That is differentiation of organs such as shoots and roots. So in case of cytokinin, right, they are mainly involved in the cell division processes. So that's why they are also applying in the tissue culture methods. Clear? They are also involved in some amount of cell enlargement, and they are also involved in the morphogenesis process. So morphogenesis means when a seed is getting germinated, then some specification of the plant parts are taking place. For example, shoots and roots, these are called morphogenesis. And here in this process also, the cytokinin is involved. Schools and Miller in 1957 demonstrated for the first time that the ratio of auxin and cytokinin can control the root, shoot, and callus formation in the plant tissue culture. Clear? This is important. So, Schools and Miller in 1957 first demonstrated that this auxin, right, as well as this cytokinin, their ratio are very important for tissue culture. Clear? Very important for tissue culture. How? Because in case of auxin, right, in case of auxin, they are mainly involved in the shoot elongation, and in case of cytokinin, they are mainly involved in the root elongation. Clear? Now, yeah. This is important for your exam. High cytokinin and auxin ratio causes differentiation of shoots. Clear? Now listen, what happened? Auxin and cytokine, right? Already you have learned about the auxin function. Now you are learning about the cytokinin function. Clear? So cytokinin is mainly involved in the cell division, and auxin is mainly involved in the apical dominance. Clear? Suppose this is the plant parts. Clear? So suppose these plant parts are culturing in biological laboratory. Clear? So we are making the ratio of cytokinin and auxin. For example, we are making cytokinin and auxin ratio or mixture. Clear? So when the cytokinin amount is getting higher, right? Then what happens? Food division will be getting higher. Try to understand. The question will be coming from this function. When cytokinin amount is higher in this ratio or in this mixture, then what happens? The shoot differentiation or the cells that are present in shoots, their differentiation is getting higher. Clear? And when the auxin ratio is getting higher, then what happens? The root differentiation or the root formation is getting higher. Clear? So low cytokinin and auxin ratio causes root formation, and high cytokinin auxin causes differentiation of shoots. So higher cytokinin, higher shoot formation, higher auxin, higher root formation, because auxin is involved in the root formation. Already I've learned about them, right? So this is very important concept, and these are applied nowadays in each and every biological laboratory throughout the whole world. Clear? So huge amount of cytokinin, huge amount of cell division, huge amount of formation of shoot, formation of stem, and huge amount of auxin, formation of huge amount of roots. So cytokinin and auxin, these are mixed in a ratio, and these ratios are applied in several biological laboratories. Clear? So the next important function of the cytokinin, intermediate ratio of these two causes formation of shoots and roots of both. So this is the you can say tissue culture that is done within a very thick, you can say test tube, right? Where a medium amount of cytokinin as well as auxins are mixed, and this ratio are applied for culturing of the plants in biological laboratory. This is called tissue culture. Cytokinin delays senescence or aging. Now, what is the meaning of senescence or aging? Senescence means simply aging, right? Aging or senescence, same thing. So what happens in case of human, in case of all the animals, all the plants, the aging system is, you can say, found or universal. Clear? Now, what is the meaning of aging system in case of humans, right? We are uh, coming from, you can say, the child, right? From the stage child, then we are entering in the adult. After adult, we are entering in the, you can say, old, right? So like this, each and every living organisms are showing senescence or aging in between them. Clear? So aging means from you can say juvenile in case of plants, the very earlier phase. This is called juvenile phase, right? Or seedling phase. The plant is getting old, and after old, what happens? The plant is getting dead. In case of human, also same things, right? In case of human, uh, we are giving live births, right? And this is called baby, and after baby, it is entering into adult. From the adult, you can say after adult, it is entering in the old or aging phase. Then what happens? The human body is getting dead, right? This is called aging or senescence. This process is common throughout the whole living system. The process of delaying senescence by cytokinin is called a Richmond-Lang effect. Clear? This is very important for your exam. So, in case of cytokinin, right, they are involved or they are delaying the senescence or aging of several plant parts, right? Now, the process of delaying the senescence by cytokinin, suppose what happens in case of fruit, for example, in case of fruit, for example, mango. Suppose in case of mango, mango is, you can say, formed within the plant, the mango is getting ripened, the mango fruit, obviously, right? And what happens after ripening the mango fruit? It is falling off on the surface of the soil, right? If we are applying the cytokinin artificially, then what happens? The mango is attached with the plant body for a longer time. This is called Richmond. This is called Richmond-Lang effect. Promote germination by breaking of seed dormancy. So cytokinin is also involved in the uh, breaking of dormancy processes. Clear? So here also important cytokinin involved in the senescence or aging processes. This is called Richmond-Lang effect, right? And they will involved in the cell division processes. Clear? Initiation of interfascicular cambium. So already you have learned about the cambium in anatomy of flowering plants chapter, right? Intrafascicular cambium and interfascicular cambium. Two vascular bundle. These are what? These are xylem and these are phloem. Clear? So here also same thing. These are phloem and these are xylem. Now interfascicular cambium means first. This is called. This is called This is called intrafascicular cambium that is present between what? Xylem and phloem within the same vascular bundle. And this is called interfascicular cambium. This is called interfascicular cambium that is present between two vascular bundles. Clear? Counteraction of apical dominance promote flowering short day plants under long day conditions. So in case of cytokinin, they are also promoting the flowering processes in short day plants under long day condition. So short day plants and long day plants we will discuss later in photoperiodism topic. For now, in case of cytokinin, they are mainly promoting flower in short day plants. Induction of parthenocarpy, so cytokinin is also involved in the formation of fruits without fertilization processes. Clear? That's all. Now, auxin, cytokinin, gibberellin. These three types of plant hormones are known as promoting plant hormone or promoting plant growth regulators. Now, abscisic acid, right? Abscisic acid or ABA. This is known as inhibitor hormone. Inhibitor hormone or inhibitors that are mainly inhibiting the plant growth. Clear? Auxin, gibberellin, cytokinin. These three are the promoting hormones. They are mainly involved in the promoting processes of several functions. Clear? Now the abscisic acid or ABA, it is mildly acidic, that is 15 carbon multi-role plant hormone. So abscisic acid mainly 15 carbon compound, right? That is also produced by mevalonic acid pathway, right? Already you learned about the mevalonic acid pathway from the gibberellin hormones. So in case of abscisic acid, they are 15 carbon compounds. It is powerful growth inhibitor. ABA can inhibit even gibberellin stimulated growth. So try to understand. In case of ABA, they are mainly 15 carbon compound and they are very powerful growth inhibitor. Sometimes what happens? There are some functions that are promoting by gibberellic acid, right? And what happens? This function will stop. These functions are, you can say, stopped by EPA, right? So that's it. powerful growth inhibitor. Clear? So in case of abscisic acid, they are mainly inhibiting hormone and they are mainly inhibiting the function of several gibberellins function. Clear? For example, seed dormancy. Seed dormancy is breaking down by the gibberellic acid, and what happened? This seed dormancy is maintained by APA. So this is two opposite functions that are performed by two opposite plant hormones. So GA and APA are antagonistic each other. That means the seed dormancy is maintained by APA and that is breaking down by GA. So when the gibberellic acid concentration is more, suppose this concentration is more, then what happens? Seed is undergoing the germination processes, and when the ABA concentration is more, then what happens? Seed dormancy is maintained. So that's why GA or gibberellin and ABA or abscisic acid, they are antagonistic in their functions. Here, abscisic acid is synthesized in leaves and then translocated to stem apices through the plant. So they are mainly synthesized in the leaf areas and they are transported throughout the whole part, throughout the phloem vascular bundles. Now the functions of APA or functions of abscisic acid, it acts as general plant growth inhibitor and an inhibitor of the plant metabolism. So in case of gibberellic acid, they are mainly involved in the what? In the inhibition of the plant growth as well as inhibition of the plant metabolism. So in case of plant metabolism, a lot of metabolisms are there and they are inhibited by the gibberellic acids. It promotes abscission of leaves, flowers, and fruits. So in case of abscission means simply falling off the leaves, flowers, and fruits after their maturation, they are simply falling off from the plant. Sometimes you can see that there are some leaves that are falling off from the plants. They are yellowish nature because the chlorophyll contents are very less in between them and they are getting matured. So that's why they are falling off from the plant body to the surface of the soil. This process is promoted by also the gibberellin hormone. Okay, as well as here the ABA hormones. ABA inhibits seed germination. So same thing, gibberellic acid is promoting the seed germination. But in case of ABA, it is inhibiting the seed germination. That means ABA is maintaining the seed dormancy process. Clear? ABA is called stress hormone. This is very, very important term. ABA is called stress hormone. As under water stress, it influences the availability of potassium ions and therefore the stomatal flows to reduce the water loss. Generally, what happens? ABA, it's a very strong inhibitor hormone. Clear? And it can inhibit the plant growth as well as several plants metabolism. Clear? Now what happened? This ABA, such kind of inhibition or function, they are known as stress hormone. Clear? Why they are called stress hormone? Suppose generally what happens? Plants are present in normal environment. Sometimes suppose temperature is getting increased. Suppose a flood is coming like this. These are the abnormal or adverse condition. At that time the metabolism that are found in the plants, their rate are getting decreased by this ABA. Through this decrease of the plant growth as well as plant metabolisms, right, ABA can maintain the plant system or plant physiological system. Clear? That's why ABA is known as stress hormone, because in several stresses like drought, like salt, like water stresses. Stresses means these are either present in huge amount or they are present in less amount. So in these cases, what happens? ABA is coming there and simply ABA slower the process of plant growth as well as slower the plant's metabolism. Clear? So that's why it is known as stress hormone. As well as ABA is involved. ABA is involved in the process of stomata opening and closing, right? In case of already I've learned about the stomata opening and closing by potassium ions, and ABA is also involved here. ABA is also involved there in the opening of the stomata, closing, opening and closing of the stomata. Clear? That's all. Sometimes what happens, suppose water stress is found. That means water is very less amount in the environment, mainly summer region. Then what happens? Plants can't take huge amount of water from the soil, right? So that's why ABA is going to the leaf region. ABA is synthesized on the leaf region. Clear. And this ABA simply closing the stomata forcefully to minimize the water loss or transpiration, because the loss of water through the leaves is known as transpiration. Clear. So that's why ABA is known as stress hormone. It plays an important role in inducing seed dormancy. So obviously, in case of seed dormancy is maintained by EBA, and seed germination or seed dormancy breaking is done by gibberellic acid or gibberellin hormones. Clear? It inhibits mitosis in vascular cambium. So in case of this ABA, they are inhibiting the mitosis processes of vascular cambium. Vascular cambium cell containing xylem and phloem, and they are undergoing a lot of differentiation processes or mitosis processes, because cambium means they are having meristemanic activity. So these processes or these mitosis and vascular bundles are also getting inhibited by the ABA. It also promotes senescence in leaves. So obviously, in case of senescence or maturation of the leaves are done by the ABA. So just see the leaves. You can see in our nature the yellowish, you can say flower, yellowish seeds, as well as yellowish leaves are falling off on the surface of the soil. Now, what happens here? Why they are yellowish in nature? All the chlorophylls are moved from this yellowish flower to the yellowish flower or yellowish, you can say, leaves to the green uh, leaves or green flower. Clear? Now the chlorophylls are transported, and here after maturation they are falling off simply on the surface of the soil. This is called abscission. Clear? And this is obviously this abscission is followed by the senescence or aging processes. Clear? Now there are some differences between abscisic acid and gibberellic acid. This is important for your exam. Abscisic acid, they are powerful growth inhibitors. Gibberellins, they are powerful growth promoters. In case of abscisic acid, they are inhibiting the germination of the embryo. In case of gibberellin, they are promoting the germination of the embryo, because obviously within the seed the embryo is present. So in case of gibberellin, the embryo is getting germinated, the seed is getting germinated. In case of abscisic acid, the seed is maintaining the dormancy and not germinated. Clear? In case of abscisic acid, it causes stomatal closure or stomatal. Uh, yes, obviously in stress condition they are closed, and in case of gibberellins, uh, they are promoting stomatal opening. In case of abscisic acid, it has no role in sexuality of flowers. In case of gibberellins, it causes maleness. In case of abscisic acid, it causes abscission of leaves, flowers, and fruits. In case of gibberellins, it promotes development of fruits. Clear? In case of abscisic acid, they causes leaf senescence, and in case of gibberellins, they prevents senescence. Clear? Now, the fifth important type of plant growth regulator is ethylene. So already you have learned about auxin, gibberellin, cytokinin, they are growth promoter. Then abscisic acid is growth inhibitor. Now the ethylene. Ethylene is acting as a growth promoter and inhibitor, plant growth regulator. So it's a gaseous plant growth regulator. So out of these five type of plant growth regulators, only ethylene is gaseous in nature and others are chemical in nature. It's synthesized in large amounts by the tissues undergoing senescence and ripening fruits. So obviously, ethylene, they're mainly involved in the ripening of the fruits. So that's why they are mainly produced within the leaves, within the fruits that are undergoing senescence. Here, senescence means aging or maturation. The leaves or fruits after their formation, they are getting yellowish in nature before they are falling off. Right. So within this region, mainly the ethylene is produced. The ethylene is synthesized by the amino acid methionine. So methionine is the precursor of the ethylene hormones. Clear? So ethylene is produced from the methionine amino acid, and this is the structure of the ethylene. Clear? CH2, CH, double bond CH2. So the most widely used compound as source of ethylene is ethafone. So nowadays, ethafone that is extracting from the ethylene, right, they are extremely used. Ethaphone in an aqueous solution is readily absorbed and transported within the plant and releases ethylene slowly. So this ethaphone is containing a huge amount of ethylene and they are mainly involved in the ripening of several fruits. Now, the functions of ethylene, the most important effects in is fruit ripening. This is the most important function of ethylene. Now, this is the main function of ethylene that they are mainly involved in the fruit ripening. After formation of several fruit, mango, then you can say orange, and so many other fruits, they are ripened with the help of this ethylene plant hormone. Clear? They can promote the senescence and abscission of the plant organs, especially of leaves and flowers. Obviously, so in case of leaves and flowers as well as fruits, after they are ripening, they are falling off. After they are ripening, they are known as senescence. And then what happens? They are falling off on the surface of the soil. They will be called as abscission. Enhances root growth and root hair formation. So in case of ethylene, they are also involved in the root growth as well as root hair formation. Here initiates flowering in pineapple and mango. So in case of ethylene, this is also the most important function that is done by ethylene. They are initiating flowering in pineapple as well as in mango. Break seeds and bud dormancy initiate germination in peanut seeds and sprouting of the potato tubers. So ethylene is also involved in the seed dormancy breaking processes as well as several bud dormancy breaking processes. Clear, and they are also involved in the germination in peanut seeds and sprouting of potato tubers. So potato tubers roots are sprouted out here with the help of this ethylene hormone. Clear. They can promote the femaleness in cucumbers. This is very, very important for your exam. So in case of cucumbers, you can say flowers, right, or flowering plants, where the ethylene is mainly promote the femaleness, uh, you can say femaleness in nature, right, or femaleness nature in cucumbers. So that's why sometimes ethylene is known as feminism hormone. Clear, na? Ethylene is known as feminism hormone, as well as cytokinin mainly is called feminism hormone, and after cytokinin, the ethylene is known as famine or feminism, you can say hormone. Clear? They can promote the femaleness or female character in cucumber plant. They can release of ethylene inhibits auxin synthesis. Clear? So the release of ethylene inhibit the auxin synthesis. So sometimes what happens, they are also involving in the inhibition of the auxin synthesis or auxin production, thinning of cotton, cherry, and walnut. These are the another important function in case of ethylene. Clear? That's all. This is all about the five type of plant growth regulators, their discovery, their production sites, their functions. These are important for your exam. Out of these five type of plant growth regulators or plant growth hormones, auxin and cytokinin, gibberellin, they are known as growth promoter, right? EPA or abscisic acid is known as growth inhibitor, and ethylene, right? Ethylene is known as both the inhibitor as well as promoter, because ethylene is involved in the process of fruit ripening, in the promoting of femaleness in cucumber, as well as they are also inhibiting the synthesis or production of, you can say, auxin hormone. Clear? So ethylene is showing both the promoting as well as inhibiting function. So that's why ethylene is known as both promoter or inhibitor hormone. Clear? That's all. This is all about the five type of plant growth hormones. Right?